Do people put too much faith into the reliability of data centers?
There's a lot of thought and innovation that goes into the design of data centers. It's really what the data center development teams live and breathe. They want those 5 nines. They want to keep it online all the time, no matter what. But inevitably, as we've found in the real world, there are things that go wrong that are outside of anybody's scope of influence. And it does take data centers down. When you have one, it doesn't happen too often. But if you have an app in 22 locations, one of those is always having issues.
Does it make more sense now to assume that a data center is going to fail? As big as that may seem, does it just make sense to do that? And if so, how do you plan for that?
That's the way we approach it at Yahoo. We've seen data center failures happen. We know they will happen eventually. So we actually start our availability planning there. Assume you'll lose an entire metro region and design your product to be able to run out of multiple places with all of the data available everywhere. And then when there are issues, be they large fires or just small things like network glitches, all you need to do is take your traffic and shift it somewhere else. The problem goes away.
So that means planning for redundancy across locations rather than within a location.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that the right mindset?
Yeah, so we do still do redundancy within location just to keep the number of shifts down, but it becomes much less important. And you don't have to cover every single aspect. There are rare events that occasionally do happen. We lose a little bit of latency when we shift people over, but mostly people don't notice.
Now, how is the planning done for that? I mean, when you're envisioning this, you're looking and saying, we're going to have X number of data centers. On your end, if something goes wrong, is it just a matter of pushing a button, or how does it work out?
The majority of our user-facing traffic is all run on automated systems. So we basically use DNS to detect failure and shift people transparently, essentially. It takes about 8 minutes for us to shift an entire data center's worth of traffic across the world.
So last question for you, shifting gears a little bit. How do you know your redundancy efforts have become too complex? I mean, are there signs, are there tipping points?
When they start failing.
Okay.
When our UPSs start blowing up, we know, hey, maybe we don't actually need a UPS there.
Sure.
We've had instances where certain labs have been less stable because of the redundancies that we put in place. And so we started putting stuff on commercial power. And if commercial power goes down, which it does occasionally, we just shift traffic somewhere else. Problem solved.
So when things start blowing up,
yeah.
Okay, good.
There's a money issue in there as well.
Sure.
A lot of people start with the small pieces. They start at the server level and they say, I need 2 of these. Then they go into power and network and UPS and generators and all the rest. We start on the opposite end and say, just assume the whole data center is going to explode. Fix that. Everything else doesn't matter as much.
Sure.
Once you fix that problem.
Right, yeah. If you start with the explosion,
exactly,
you're prepared for it.
And then we do a certain amount of due diligence in terms of putting redundancy in through the lower layers.
Right.
But if you, like I said, if you miss a spot, it's okay because you're covered for anything.
Interesting. Well, thanks so much for doing this. Appreciate you taking the time.